Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a bat biologist? In this video, we're taking y'all behind the scenes to show you the ins and outs of our fieldwork. Let's dive into a daily routine of studying bats. We usually hit the road around 4 or 5 in the afternoon heading to our trapping sites. Some of these sites are nearby, but others are further away, and we also have to hike a bit to get to our traps. Leaving early gives us plenty of time to set up everything before the first bat shows up. Now, let me tell y'all a secret. Bats are really smart. If we keep putting traps in the same spots, they'll learn to avoid them. That's why we have field assistants who move the traps daily to different locations. Once the traps are in place, we get to work covering every side, top, and bottom, leaving no room for bats to escape. Believe it or not, some bats are experts at finding the smallest gaps and darting away. So leaving no gaps will make sure we're getting the most out of our traps and capturing as many bats as possible. Things can get pretty busy once the bats start showing up. We check the traps every 10 to 15 minutes or even sooner, especially in areas with lots of bats. Every bat we catch gets its special bag complete with a plastic bowl inside. Why, you ask? To collect bat poop. Yes, you heard that right. Poop. It's one of the most important things we collect for our research, besides, of course, catching these amazing bats. After we finish trapping for the night, we head back to the lab to process everything we've collected. In the lab, we work in stations to keep things organized. First, we sorted the bats based on the time they were caught. This helps us to keep poop samples fresh, which is important for preserving the gut microbiomes in them. Next, we check the bags and bowls for poop. Look at this. This bat left us a little surprise. We place the poop in the tube with a special barcode on it so we can track which bat it came from. After examining for poop, the student writes the barcode number on a piece of paper attached to the bat bag. This tells us if the bat has provided a sample or not. Once we've got the poop samples, we move on to identifying the bats. We carefully examine their features to identify their species. Then, we check if they're male or female and whether the females are pregnant, like this bat right here. Now, here's a fun fact. You can sometimes feel the tiny baby bat inside pregnant females. We also measure the bats to help in knowing what species they are. Using a caliper, we measure the forearm length from wrist to elbow. For weight, we place the bat in a lightweight socks, hung it on the scale, and subtracted the sock's weight to get the bat's exact weight. Next, it's time to take wing samples. We use a special tool called a biopsy punch to remove a teeny tiny piece of their wing, which is about 3 millimeters in size. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt the bat, and their wing will heal and regenerate in just a few weeks. And finally, we collect fur samples using a special pair of scissors called the iris cutter. These scissors are super sharp, so you must be careful not to hurt the bats. Once we finish processing the bats, we put each one back in its bag along with a paper that tells us where it was caught. Back in the forest, we release the bat exactly where we caught them. This is especially important for bats with smaller home ranges so they can find their way back home. Another successful night in the books. With the last bat off into the night, our night winds down. We head home for a quick rest before we are back out again at dawn to check for morning bats. And there you have it, our typical day in the field. Thanks for coming along on this journey with us, and we sure hope you enjoyed learning about our work.